Hey, happy Friday. Welcome to the 3 Things I Learned, Saas, sports, tech, and live events. Over the last 2 weeks, we had an opportunity to meet with 16 different startups at different stages from seed to pre-seed. We help out with a number of accelerators and with some venture firms. This is the feedback that we gave them and the advice that we offered over our experience that got the most response over those 16-minute meetings. So I hope you find them helpful as you look to start your own business or to join a startup. Let's get started. Number 1 comes from Jeff Bussgang. He wrote about it in the Harvard Business Review: the jungle, the dirt road, and the highway. He characterizes all businesses as being in one of 3 stages. They're either on the jungle, the dirt road, or the highway. And the analogy holds for a number of really important decisions that you're going to need to make, both in strategy and in talent. You see, businesses that are in the jungle, there are no roads. You have a small, resourceful team with machetes that can do just about everything. If you need to build shelter, you all need to pitch in. It doesn't need to have plumbing. We just got to get out of the elements and keep moving towards our goal. That path changes regularly with what's happening around us. When we get to the dirt road, we're bouncing along in a 4x4. We're going a lot faster than the people that we left behind in the jungle. But there's different elements there. And then eventually we're on the highway, the businesses we all know, the Fortune 1000s, where you're blazing along at over 200 miles an hour on the Autobahn in a Ferrari. You need a driver who can handle that. You need somebody to deal with tire pressure. You need somebody who can change tires quickly. It's a totally different discipline than being in the jungle. Now, as you're making decisions around hiring, this is where the biggest mistakes are made. Too often people are looking for somebody who's done this before, who's maybe in the highway stage or the dirt road stage, and they're asking them to come back to the jungle. They're asking them to leave behind the stakes in first class to come have to do all the work in the jungle, and it never works. Trust me, I made that mistake a lot. But it's also something you really need to think about when it comes to strategy, because businesses that are on the highway are terrible in the jungle. That Ferrari doesn't go anywhere in the jungle. That 4x4 gets blitzed when it goes out on the Autobahn and tries to race Ferraris. So when you're looking at your opportunity that's in front of you, take advantage of where you are and enjoy every step along the way. It goes really quick, trust me. That's number 1. Number 2 seems about as obvious as it gets, and it's a mistake we made too, though. Use cash, not stock. You can always get more money. Getting more stock is very difficult to do. I'll give you 2 stories so that they resonate. The first one, when we had an advisor join our board when we were in 2010 after we raised some money, the advisor was looking for capital to help on a project that we were working on. I believe the bid was in the high 90,000s. It was like $98,000, and we didn't want to spend that money. So we negotiated a stock package for that advisor. We wrote that advisor a check in 2020, about a year and a half ago, for $974,000. Kind of wish we kept that stock. Same thing when we hired somebody to help us with a marketing project and we paid them with warrants. Person did absolutely nothing. We just kind of forgot about it because it was a small amount of stock. And they got a $60,000 plus check in the same timeline. Always use cash. You can always get more. That's number 2. And unfortunately, we saw a lot of businesses whose cap deals are really dirty, even pre-seed. Gotta hold on to that ownership. And finally, number 3, the one that gets talked about the most. I try to leave everybody with the same advice at the end of all of these meetings, and that is, it doesn't get better, but you do. We've shared this in the past. You see, when we get to the end of it, the founders are always talking to us about what's going to happen when I raise some money or when I get some more people. Is this pressure finally going to go away? And unfortunately, the answer is no. It's going to ratchet up. You see, when you only have 5 people, when you screw it up, you're only impacting 5 people. When you have 100, 1,000, 10,000 plus, now your decisions are impacting their families and an entire community of people. And that pressure you will definitely feel. The good news is you'll get a lot better at it. You'll get better at understanding how to bring people in who can help you. You'll get better at understanding how to manage your time and your expectations. Susan David writes about the Babadook, which is an old story about a monster in the basement who gets stronger and stronger as you ignore them, like our fear and anxiety about failure here and our imposter syndrome, the things we deal with. Eventually, the protagonist in the story learns to go downstairs and get to know the Babadook, and eventually ends up dancing with the Babadook. It doesn't get better, but you do. And trust me, 15 years later, you might learn to like all that pressure. That's it for the 3 things this week. I hope those things are helpful as you are starting a business or looking to join a startup, and hopefully you'll join us next week. I apologize that this one was very low edited. It was an incredibly busy week. We'll try to get back to normal next week. Thanks, guys.